We need your help to keep the North Omaha History Podcast on the air. Please go to northomahahistory.com/podcast, click on the Patreon button, and become a patron for as little as $1 a month. And thanks to Jim Collison for becoming a patron.
Welcome to the North Omaha History Podcast with noted author and historian Adam Fletcher Sassy. Each week, Adam takes you on a guided tour through Omaha's dynamic past.
Driving along Carter Lake Drive in East Omaha today, you might think the place has always been stark, boring, and a little depressing, but that hasn't always been the case. In the 50s and 60s, the Kiddieland and Pleasure Pier at Carter Lake Park in Omaha were really fun, great times. Tell us more, Adam.
You know, think about that period right after World War II, Steve. What we know, just off the top of our heads, is that we had all these soldiers coming back from the wars. They had seen Europe. They had been working hard, dying, fighting, struggling over at the war. And when they got back, they wanted to play, they wanted to prosper, they wanted to build Omaha. And build they did. All North Omaha's empty lots, every single one of them filled up within a decade. And it was a heck of a place for that next 15 and 20 years that had lots of businesses thriving. It had industry, it had recreation, it had religion, it had residential, it had everything going for it. At that same time, the federal government had dismantled their Civilian Conservation Corps camp that used to be at Carter Lake. And there was a big open spot that was right there in the northwest corner of the park from the beach all the way back to this camp. There was a second lagoon that was back there. There was all kinds of cool stuff going on. And so the Parks and Recreation Committee had this great idea. Hey, let's let that land out and get people down to the lake. They had a popular municipal beach there already, and so they knew that people loved Carter Lake. They just didn't know how to get them down there. So they put out a bid and asked for an amusement park to open up right there at Carter Lake. And lo and behold, a guy named Jim Carpenter submitted a plan, and they were given a lease. In 1948, Jim Carpenter began building what was called the Carter Lake Pleasure Pier. Lots of people from North Omaha will recognize this pier almost instantaneously when they think about that stone outcropping that sticks into Carter Lake right north of Ames and north of Cornish Boulevard and south of Fort Street. This rocky outcropping actually was the Pleasure Pier. It could hold 20,000 people right there on the picnic facilities that were jutted out into the water. There were roller coasters for adults that included and amusement park rides of all kinds, including the Rock-a-Plane and the Roll-a-Plane and the Fly-a-Plane and the Octopus. There were drive-yourself boats, and there was a gigantic 40-passenger cruising boat right there on the lake. There was a miniature golf course and archery and badminton and shuffleboards and bike rentals. Man, the place was crazy. If you can imagine, 150,000 square foot area. There was fancy landscaping and concession buildings and speedboats and swimming and boat rentals. And there was even airplane rides right there on the lake. I mean, so much happened right there at the Pleasure Pier. It was a great time for everybody. The parking was for 1,500 cars. So it was a regular amusement park that's easy to imagine. Right there on Carter Lake. So Pleasure Pier was for adults, and it was kind of the adult side. They had adult entertainment and et cetera, et cetera. But they needed a place for the kids. Where can you just drop off your kids while you go and have martinis by the lake? So they opened up Kiddieland, and Kiddieland was this gigantic, obnoxious, child-centered amusement park right there next to Pleasure Pier. Kiddieland had merry-go-rounds and the Little Dipper and a car ride and pony carts and a Ferris wheel and a boat ride and a miniature train and a doodle bug and a midget racer and the bogey and I mean a kiddie hand car and a live pony track. There was just so much going on in Kiddieland. They even had a 15-minute television show every day during the 1950s. So there were concessions games, there were rides, there was everything. Right there at Kiddieland. So you have these parents, again, the 1950s, right? They all showed up. They dropped off their kids out of the Ford Fairlane. All the kids went over to Kiddieland, and all the parents went over to the Pleasure Pier. The parents got soused on martinis and rum, and they had a great time over there. Well, the kids were riding, the auto scooter, the merry-go-round, Herschel roller coaster ride, and all kinds of other stuff. So it was a heck of a place. But you're right, it didn't work. Unfortunately, the Carpenters just couldn't keep it open. So in 1959, they put it up for sale. In 1960, it was sold to a guy who planned to open up a marina, and he actually did do that. And the marina existed for another 30 years after that. But all of the equipment and stuff, the rides and the restaurant and all the stuff that was at Kiddieland and Pleasure Pier were sold off in 62. And today, honestly, there's no sign that there was ever an amusement park on the shores of Carter Lake. I have had the opportunity to talk to Carpenter's daughter, who lives there in Omaha, and she has told some fascinating stories about memories of her dad's place. He actually went on, Jim Carpenter and his wife went on to own a business building amusement park rides for other amusement parks. Even though they couldn't keep theirs open in Omaha, they still loved the industry and they had a good thing going, so they kept it going for a long time. But today, like I said, there's no sign left. You go to that northwest corner of Carter Lake, and they've done a lot of work to remove the parking lot and to remove the places where the amusement park rides were. And all that we can do is imagine. But it's a heck of an imagination. And maybe at some point, the city of Omaha Parks and Rec will get around to putting in a historical plaque that shows us that's where Kiddieland and Pleasure Pier once stood.
That's the neat thing about history, though, is you can imagine what was the theater of the mind. That's why I always find history fascinating. Next week, we're going to talk about the Florence Waterworks, and we need your help to keep this North Omaha History podcast afloat. Go to northomahahistory.com/podcast, click on the patron link, and become a patron for as little as $1 a month. We want to thank Jim Collison for becoming a patron as well. And if you like this program, tell your friends to listen, and you can check out Adam's great selection of books on Amazon. Adam, how can we reach you?
You know, Steve, I love to hear from people, and I invite anybody to go to Facebook and just search North Omaha History and send me a note there, or get a hold of me on northomahahistory.com and click on the contact link where you'll find my phone number, my email, and a form, and just send me a note, whatever you want. I love to hear from people and hope that you'll contact me today.
Thanks for listening to the North Omaha History Podcast with noted author and historian Adam Fletcher Sassy. Join us next week as Adam takes you on another guided tour through Omaha's dynamic past.